We've talked a lot this week about economic development. Within that discussion, one of the major topics that arises is the shortage of affordable housing or workforce housing in Kerrville. Entities such as the Chamber of Commerce, the KEDC, and numerous city boards all agree that there is a shortage of affordable housing in the Kerrville area. To encourage developers to construct more workforce housing in Kerrville, we have to work the economic development channels within the city at staff level, at the KEDC, at the EIC, and at the council to provide assistance and support for viable projects. To that end, how do we welcome or greet the developers that bring such projects to the metaphorical table? In a recent meeting of the Kerrville Economic Improvement Corporation, the arm of the city that distributes 4B sales tax monies, the reception wasn't very warm from one member of the board. Here are some clips from that meeting on September 18th.
All right, those motions carry on to item number 4C, which is the review and consideration of funding application for assistance with public infrastructure extension along Thompson Road related to a private development.
I have a point of order I'd like
Sure.
to make on this. That's actually a point of order to defer discussion and action. And I'd like to make that. I appreciate very much the presentation that's in our packet on this issue. But according to the presentation, the requested funding pertains to property that is not within the city of Kerrville. It has not been through the appropriate and required procedure for annexation, including public hearings, has not been through the city's planning and zoning department to attain appropriate zoning.
First, my name is Justin MacDonald. I'm here on behalf of the applicant here. I would state, first of all, to Mr. Cooper's concern that the EIC's mission is to fund projects within the city of Kerrville and surrounding areas, which this is surrounded on 3 sides of the city, so I think that would qualify. There is also a history of the EIC funding projects that are just outside the city limits, the Hill Country Shooting Sports Center being one that comes immediately to mind. I would request that we have our fair hearing in front of you guys, because we've put a lot of work into this. And
Mr. Chair, some good points raised, although I would point out, and the applicants somewhat alluded to this, is when you do an economic development, oftentimes you're working with a piece of property that's outside of the city.
So I just, it's not the deal, and it's not the people, and maybe I'm just confused, but it sounds to me like they're asking for $850,000 and for us to do something, and they're telling us that that's our obligation to do it, or to hear it, and to consider it, and it's all in line with what we're doing. And I just think it's way too early.
How about this?
Mr. President, I would like to just state for the record that if the possibility of action is not on the table today, we'd rather not waste everyone's time. So just let us know if you want to hear from us or not.
Okay.
I think we're completely out of order here. I mean, I've done this we're in 41 different communities in 27 cities in Texas. And typically what happens is there's a commitment to work with a developer. And at that time, the developer starts forward with your zoning process, which includes annexation. And there's absolutely no reason for us to spend the time and money on that if we don't have some idea and semblance that we have even a chance of working out an agreement. It would be a ludicrous investment on our part. So what you're really saying is, until we get around to annexing you, we don't want to see you. And so what we're doing is we're saying we're not going to have more housing in Kerrville. There's very few tracts of ground in Kerrville in the city that are available right now to be developed for affordable housing or for any type of housing, including in the same areas that we've already developed, like on Clearwater Paseo, because of the problem with the lift station out that way. I've literally scoured this entire town regularly. Bruce Strakey, I think, can tell you the same thing. And so if we're going to work together as a partnership, we need to start working on knowing where y'all are. If you're not interested, just say so, and we'll go to Fredericksburg or somewhere else. Every time we have a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce, any group in the world, the first thing we start talking about is Kerrville needs more housing.
I agree.
That's the first thing we talk about. So are we gonna put our money where our mouth is or not? And if it's not, that's fine, I can live with that decision. But, don't kid each other.
Okay. So I'm feeling honestly a little bit pressured to make a decision on something that's
We're not
pretty
asking,
multifaceted.
we're not asking for anybody to make a decision at all. We're not even asking you to tell us to commit to funding at all. We're asking to take a look, feedback, where you're coming from, and the entire process. But the motion was made that nothing happened until we are annexed and zoned, and we cannot do that, sir.
Go ahead and have the vote.
I'll just withdraw the motion because I think we now understand what we're talking
Okay.
about. Okay, and I think that the confusion, which lies with words, is mine, because I thought they were looking for funding or an agreement to fund, and I just don't think we've got enough information to do that.
Okay. So let's move forward with the presentation, Justin.
Thankfully, the presentation was allowed to proceed, and the board turned out to be very receptive to the ideas being presented. But this type of interaction needs to be noted and studied. If we want to encourage and support local businesses and developments, we need to continue to examine who we appoint to these types of boards and who we elect to serve as our representatives. For Kerrville United, this is Aaron Yates, and thank you for watching.